You know, death penalty cases can take years to prosecute, and for the families of the victims in those cases, a conviction doesn't always mean justice.
So tonight we are taking a closer look at what those families actually go through. Today, 2 News Oklahoma reporter Jeanette Casada spoke with an assistant district attorney to talk about the court process and the grief those families endure while they are seeking justice. Jeanette.
Well, Karen and Mike, in many death row cases, both families involved are seeking their version of justice. And for the victims' families, prosecutors know that the justice may bring them some comfort, but it will never bring back their loved one.
Anytime you lose a loved one to a violent crime, your first contact is going to be with the police department and usually their advocates.
Assistant District Attorney Kenneth Elmore works closely with families of victims. He says the investigation is just the first step in a lengthy and emotionally draining court process.
It's a different process when you talk about the court procedure, where there's multiple hearings, being in front of judges, being in front of defense attorneys asking questions, and sometimes it's a lot of unanswered and unexplained.
Elmore says court proceedings in death penalty cases tend to be more scrutinized because they involve a more severe punishment. He says his department tries to prepare the victim's family as best they can, but wounds are inevitably reopened in the process.
It can be very difficult on one hand because they don't have that final outcome before you get a verdict. It's still undecided. And then adding to that, the focus a lot of time tends to be on the defendant, which is right, because it's their due process to ensure that you get a just outcome. But it can be frustrating for families because there's so much time spent talking about the person who killed and took their loved one from them.
Elmore says when a case is appealed, families have to go through the whole process again. In the end, many look forward to that final verdict.
I think they get closure in that sense, that they know that the person has been held accountable.
But closure, Elmore says, won't fix what's been done.
Regardless of what the verdict is, whether it's guilty or it's not guilty, nothing that the court system, the justice system can do is ever going to replace their loved one. It's never going to replace that hole in their heart and that hole in their lives.
Earlier today, Attorney General expressing his disappointment, saying that the work of the appellate judges, prosecutors, and jurors was all set aside.
Jeanette, thank you very much.